Good evening, everybody, and you're most welcome this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm waiting for people to join me here, and thank you for coming along tonight. And if you've been at a previous webinar already, I hope you found it enjoyable and very informative. So people are just joining us here now. I'll just wait for a few more minutes until we get everybody else in. And the numbers seem to be settling now. I'm joined this evening by my lovely colleague Emma Stevens from the admissions office. So if you wish to chat and ask questions as I'm speaking, please use the chat facility. You're off camera and off mic because we're using a webinar format, but you can chat away on the chat function and Emma will be there and she's more than happy to address any questions that you may have as I work my way through the presentation. And at the end, we'll address them as well verbally to you if you have any ongoing questions to ask. Kay Mitchell is my name. I'm one of the school's liaison team in the university, and it's my happy task this evening to talk you through the university's arts degree. Admissions is our main email, admissions@mu.ie. You see the phone number there. We will always endeavour to get back to people if you leave a message, if you find the lines are busy. And if you're finding it a little bit more difficult to get through at times, always email or pop your number into our web chat facility and we will always bring you back. So don't feel you can't speak to somebody in admissions. We will always endeavour to return your call or get back to you in timely fashion. And as you can see, we have a presence on all the social media platforms as you would expect. So this evening's session is very much looking at the arts programme in Maynooth. First things first, I suppose we'll just look at the entry requirements. So for Leaving Certificate students, we're one of the NUI colleges, like we're one of the NUI, like Galway, Cork, UCD, Belfield and ourselves. So you're looking at a minimum of 6 subjects, 2 at higher level and 4 passes, English, Irish and a third language, unless you're exempt from Irish or the third language. If you are exempt and wish to apply for exemptions, you apply to our governing body, the NUI. You will find their website at nui.ie. So it's www.nui.ie, and they are under the section called Entry Requirements. There's an online application form. And what you do is you go in and look at the documents that they require. You usually have to fill out some forms and have some documentation to back up on your application and have them all ready and scanned. And you can also use photograph them and just upload them, because the application now is online, which means it's going to be much quicker than it used to be. So you apply for exemptions, and if they're granted, then you send them to the CAO, so the computer on the CAO system is not looking for them, but you still will be required to present 6 subjects. The points of entry this year were 310 points. That is indicative of the fact that there's actually 1,700 places available on this course of study. It's a major platform. It's one of the highest intake programs of study in the CAO handbook. And our thinking behind this degree is not to create a high points polio 4 course. It's really a landing platform. And our thinking behind it was very much based on what some of the American colleges would call a sophomore year, where students can come in and test the waters of what subjects are available and decide in that intervening year what way their structure of their degree should be, what appeals to them, what they would like to do. And that can be directed very much by maybe a career aspiration one has, or it might be just a personal interest that they have in a particular area. But that incredible flexibility of choice of having that first year to taste and see, we find is invaluable to a lot of students. And that's why we've created this landing base, this landing platform of over 30 subjects for students to come in. And that is why our intake is so large. It might interest you to know that of the students that come in there, from the 1,700 students, 24% of our entrance scholars, we have an entrance scholarship in Maynooth. It's an academic entrance scholarship. And anybody who achieves 575 points or more would actually get €1,000 in first year. It's an entrance scholarship award. So 24% of our entrance scholars again this year, it's always around 23 or 24% of those scholars each year are on this arts programme. And when you're actually chatting to them as why they would choose the arts degree, you hear stories like, well, I'm not quite sure whether I want to do law, accounting, economics or English. So I know if I take the arts degree, I have time in first year to figure that out before deciding on what my major is in. So that is really the thinking behind the arts degree itself. Anybody who's applying from Leaving Cert and is applying for the Here and There programs, you need to have those boxes ticked by the CAO, in the CAO by the February the 1st, and your supporting documentation needs to be in the system again by the 15th of March. And if you have been approved, you'll know by June if you are approved for Here or There. And it means you're coming into university then on supported offers and flexible points. And we have a 5% intake overall for all our degree programs in Maynooth University for Here and There applicants. And as there are 1,700 places available through the arts degree. That's 5% of that cohort, which is quite a number of places. Then looking at the colleges of further education, if you're not coming in from Leaving Cert and you go to a college of further education or a PLC college, their names are used interchangeably. You can do a QQI, they were also called FETAC in their day, QQI level 5 or level 6 course of study. And you can use your qualifications from that. It's usually around 5 distinctions out of 8 modules, and you can present that for an entry requirement into a level 8 program like an arts degree. And if you are presenting a QQI qualification for the arts degree in Maynooth, you're then not required to present Irish in the third language. That is only relevant really for people coming in from the Leaving Certificate qualification. Then we have students who apply to us as a mature student. So if you're aged 23 years of age or more, by the 1st of January on the year you wish to enter the university and wish to take up a level 8 qualification in arts, you apply through the CAO and you put in a personal statement and submit all of your relevant documentation, which is assessed as part of the process. If you're doing study at the moment, you detail what that is. And then people will be asked for interview. And really the whole assessment process is about one's level of preparedness to take on a full-time course of study that requires quite a lot of skill sets and kind of can be a big change if you've been out of education for a while. So the assessment is about supporting you in making the correct choice for you at that any given moment in time. So again, it's application through the CAO. The arts degree itself then, there are over 30 subjects to look at. You only put down MH101 on the CAO handbook. You don't put down or mention any subjects. You don't choose any subjects, in fact, until you're registering with us. So for now, all that's required on the CAO handbook is MH101. If you're offered a place and you subsequently accept that place, you will then get information about registration in the weeks following that. And when you get your registration details from our Student Records Office, it's only at that stage you start choosing your subjects. And from the time lectures begin, you still have 4 weeks to change your mind. So to get a student card and a student ID and be formally registered student, you do have to register for something. So students can choose their subjects, but they know in full well that in the following weeks from the time lectures begin, they can keep themselves very busy attending lots of different lectures, including the lectures they've signed up for. So if you wish to change your mind or swap subjects around, you have that invaluable 4 weeks to do so. And then depending on how the year progresses for you at the end of year 1 then, based on your university experience in tandem with research, not just research alone, you really can make an informed choice about what your career pathway should be, where you want to specialise, and what the future might hold for you. Each year in the degree, you take 60 credits. So a 3-year degree in total is 180 credits. Every year is 60 credits. Every subject in here is taught at a 15 credit option. Now, you will find the subjects are all laid out across different groups, 1 to 6. That's showing you how the timetable works. So if you're looking at the screen right now in Group 1, you see subjects like geography, German, law, philosophy. So if I were to choose the subject geography out of Group 1, I could never take that with German or with law because there would be clash on the timetable. They would be always taught at the same time. I couldn't take English with maths, as you see there in Group 3. Those subjects are in the same line. So it's about choosing a subject per group until I get the combination of subjects that suits me best. Now, as I said, every subject is available as a 15 credit option, and you take a total of 60 credits in first year. So in effect, you can take 4 areas of choice in your first year. You'll notice here across all the groups, there's something called critical skills. This is small class teaching. It's a 15 credit option that you can actually take. It's a module that trains you a lot in research skills, essay writing skills, presentation skills, that you are very much part and parcel of academic study, but they give you intense training in it in that first year. There's no exam at the end of it. It's definitely continuous assessment, but you learn a lot about how to put material together, how to become really good at expressing yourself on paper or verbally through presentation skills. And these are all skill sets that are not only going to assist you in your study, but they're very much part and parcel of what employers are looking for as well. Now, everybody can write an essay. When academic structure is a little bit different, an academic essay is about 1.5 to 2,000 words typed that show evidence of research and reading around the topic, and you create a bibliography. And these are things that people don't have a lot of knowledge about coming in, but you quickly learn within the subject area itself. But critical skills is kind of an added bonus, added training, if you like, in that first year. All of these subjects, as I said, are available as a 15 credit option, but some of them are available as a double. and that means you could take them as a 30 credit option. That's indicated to you by the circle with the dot beside them. So you can see it there beside geography, business, English, law, anthropology, computer science. So you could take them as a 15 credit option, but you can also take them as a double. So in first year, you could take 4 single areas of choice. You could take a double in one with 2 single subjects. You could take a double in one with critical skills in a subject, or you could take 3 subjects with critical skills, or in fact, you could take 2 doubles. So as you can see, there's no right or wrong about this. When we say it gives you optimum flexibility and choice, that's exactly what we mean. Students can go in and over that 4 weeks decide what way they would like to structure their first year. Some people gives themselves a broad variety of subjects. Others might want to concentrate one particular area and just keep 2 other areas on the go. There's no right or wrong about it. It really is all down to personal choice. And as you can see, there's a whole array of subjects in here. So you have the cultural subjects like English, philosophy, medieval and Irish and cultural studies, you have Greek and Roman civilization. You have subjects in here like anthropology, sociology, politics, media and cultural studies that give you great insight on how our society and our culture defines who we are as we grow from childhood to adulthood, defines our thinking, our behavioural strategies, how our society function and structure themselves. It's a study of humankind and the societies from which we form ourselves and how we rule ourselves through politics, etc., and all the discursive around that. Subjects you're familiar with from school like English, business, history, geography, they're all taught very differently at third level. And indeed, if you hadn't taken history or business or geography or finance or economics or accounting, believe it or not, you can take those for the first time in first year in a university course. People look a little bit askance at me when I mention this, and people say, is it not too difficult or hard? Yet we find students coming in and they take law and criminology and psychological studies, and they won't have studied those before. So if you have an interest in those areas, and if there's no prior knowledge actually required, all it requires is you have a passion and energy and a real interest in the subject, and that in itself will guarantee your success in those areas if you like them. Then you have opportunities to study languages within the degree. Now, while languages are required for entry, you don't actually have to choose a language when you enter the degree itself. You choose the language of personal choice. Our European languages will be French, German, Spanish and Chinese studies. We also obviously offer you the subject Irish, which we call Nua Gaeilge, which is situated there in Group 4. Now, the European languages and also your Chinese studies, they're available at beginner's level. So you could take a 30 credit option in those if you want to start off a language for the first time, but you could also take them as a 15 credit option. If you have prior knowledge and the equivalent of a H4 grade, you can certainly do that. And you have your period of time initially to make up your mind which of those streams will actually suit you. Those of you who are more interested in technical subjects, then you have maths studies, maths pure, maths physics. Now, maths pure is a very high level of maths. It's almost like similar to doing a master's in maths. It's quite a large program of study in maths itself. You can take it as a double subject in first year with 2 other areas of choice. For maths studies and maths physics, you don't need to have covered the higher level maths course, and O3H7 will suffice for that one. And you can take maths studies, maths physics in first year if you wish. We also have sound engineering, which is music technology, and computer science. Computer science is a strange subject. Some students know a lot about it coming into third level. Others know less. Others have very scant knowledge. The beauty of having it in an arts degree is that you have that initial 4 weeks to explore it. And if you enjoy it, you can actually decide to take it as a 15 credit option. You could double that and take it as a double subject. And in your exploration, if you decide that you really like it and maybe create an opportunity to go and transfer into software engineering in year 2, if you take it with math studies in first year, you can create that opportunity after completion of first year study. You can, of course, not do that. You could stay within computer science for a 3-year program and just take a lighter touch in computing. Suffice for many job out there, but it doesn't allow you probably to specialise in it or get work placement in it as part of your degree. So again, it's leaving the options open to you. As an undergraduate student of arts, you're also allowed to explore law. Now, we have separate entries into our law school that come in at much higher points than our arts degree. They're up in the high 400s. But anybody who comes into the undergraduate program in arts is allowed to choose law as one of their first year subjects. And you have 4 weeks to decide whether or not you wish to choose it. It's sitting there in Group 1. And you can take that as a 30 credit option if you wish in first year with 2 other subjects of choice. And you're sitting in the exact same lectures as other law students are. And it means that after first year study, if you complete it in that first year, passed your exams, which is actually a 40% grade, and you go back to re-register in second year, the system will know you have successfully completed your exams, and you'll be offered the option of whether you wish to discontinue law at that stage and stay within your arts program, and you can do that if you wish, or you could transfer into year 2 of the law school, and from there on in you will graduate with a degree in law, and that could be into year 2 of the 4-year LLB or year 2 of the BCL. Again, you've had your whole year to decide whether that's the option that would suit you best. We have many options in our business school. You can go directly into the School of Business. You don't have to go through arts. There is a requirement to meet an 04 H7 grade in maths for the business courses. If you didn't come in on those grades in your leaving certificate points, if you are in your grades, if you come in at a lesser grade than an 04, if you're in arts, you can still register for those business streams. You can take business and management, marketing, business international. You could take your business with law. You could take business and accounting or any of the other art subjects. And you can take it as a 30 credit option there in year 1. It sits across groups 2 and group 6. And again, just like law, if you get your 40% grade, which is your pass grade in first year with your 2 other subjects of choice, when you re-enter in year 2 to register as a second year, the system will recognise that you've passed your exams, and your options would be to stay in arts, taking business and your other subject of choice, or you can transfer into year 2 of the business school and complete as a business graduate and avail of the study abroad options that they would offer you, or indeed your work placement of an internship as part of that course of study. But again, you've had a whole year to decide that, and you're making these decisions in real time based on the experience of the subjects in third level rather than just research alone. There's also transfer pathways into accountancy programs. Accounting is sitting there in group 6 rather. And for this accounting subject, that one in first year is the Honours Leaving Certificate syllabus that we teach. Now each year we've something in the region of about 750, 800 students taking accountancy across all of our areas of study in Maynooth in various different guises. So we have a section of students each year who've never taken accounting before. Some will have taken the pass course at Leaving Cert, others would have revisited the Leaving Certificate syllabus. They've already taken it before at higher level. But there's always aspects of new knowledge that we cover in the university that you mightn't have covered at level 5 Leaving Cert. And for this particular area, if you wish to continue on and transfer out of arts accounting into the accountancy degrees, perhaps with finance or business or law, you do need to get 60% grade in your exams at the end of year 1. For law and for business, 40% will suffice. But for accounting, you do need to achieve the 60% grade and take it as a double subject in first year. And the reasoning behind that is you're joining a degree program that will give you CAP 1 exemptions from the accountancy bodies. So it's creating that professional pathway for you, hence the grade requirement. Anybody who wants to come into an arts degree can choose the subject criminology. Now, criminology is sitting there in group 2. It's associated with our law school. You can indeed take a qualification in law and criminology, and it's almost a specialism or an offshoot within law when it's looking at the criminal justice system. But it also is very multi kind of directional in its focus. So in terms it looks at society and culture, it's looking at the thinking and the mindset around it as well. So a lot of students will take it with subjects like anthropology, sociology. It's also very popular with subjects like psychological studies or media and cultural studies. And it can be taken as a standalone subject in arts. So you don't have to combine it with law. You can combine it with law, but you don't have to. And now students find that quite attractive, that they have that option in first year to decide whether they want to take criminology itself or whether they want to combine it with law or just want to take it with other subjects of choice. And you could end up with a 3-year degree in criminology and another subject of your choice. For any of you who are interested in music, we have a separate pathway in music that we'll be looking at briefly in a moment. But if you come into an undergraduate program in arts, you have the option there of taking music as a degree. You're actually not required to audition for this one. You are for the pure BMOS, but not in music and arts. You can sign up for music and register for it as long as you have a background in music. It's not a beginner's program. You are required to have grade 6 theory and practical or higher leaving certificate music. And after the first 4 weeks of your study, where students are changing their mind, the department call all the registered music students together and they discuss at that stage what your tuition needs are. Now, music's natural home is in group 5 there. So unfortunately, it clashes with things like computer science and sociology and Spanish. Spanish. But if you wish, you can take it as a double subject. And if you want to take extra music, the extra part of that would sit up in group 2, so it would knock out your choices in those areas. If you wish to do that, you can certainly do that. So you can take it as a 15 or a 30 credit option. So as you can see, there's a whole multiplicity of choices here, from cultural studies, from very technical subjects, from languages to exploring law or business. There's a whole host of opportunities here. Politics is another exciting one that has been introduced over the last number of years, and it is indeed a teaching subject itself. And again, that would be a specialism that have grown out of sociology. So you can mix and match your subjects depending on what you're interested in. I smile, Riley, when people ask me, you know, what do arts graduates do? It's a little bit more complicated than that, because there's no such thing as a typical arts graduate. You decide your portfolio, you decide your stepping stone and what pathway that suits you best. And the beauty in Maynooth is you don't make any selection until you register, as I said before, and you have your initial 4 weeks of flexibility. And then after year 1, you really can make an informed choice, because you're doing so through the experience you've had in your first year of study rather than just research alone. There's an excellent chart on page 45 of the prospectus. It's on this slide, which I don't use for an explanation because it's very busy, and you'll also find it on the website. And what it's including here are the keys. So when we were looking there at where the circles were denoting the beginner's languages, the clear circles, and the circles with the dots in the middle telling you the double subjects, you get the explanation there on the key there in that particular group. And you also have in group 7, which isn't a real group, but it's telling you if you were taking a double in a subject, if you want to take another double with that, what would clash and what would work. So when you read through these things in the prospectus or on the website, it's a lot clearer. I'm only showing you the screen just to advise you that those keys and explanations are available. It's not something you have to memorize. Following first year study then, once you have completed your exams and you've enjoyed your year, and do remember you're sitting 2 exams a year, one in January and one in May. We're not teaching at the moment, actually, we're just in exam mode. But once you've completed first year then, depending on what you have chosen, you could, if you wish, be transferring into the law school, you could be transferring into music, any of the business, accounting, economics or finance areas. There's a whole range of choices there, or into computer science and software engineering, or multimedia, mobile and web technology. And again, these are the options that will be open to you. If you're staying in arts, you could take 2 subjects of choice. We call that a double major. So it means whatever group of subjects you've taken in first year, you bring that down to 2 of those. In second year, you take them each at 30 credits for a double major in second and third year. In some areas, you can do a single major. They're not available in every area, because you do single majors in areas like anthropology, English, geography, history, maths pure and economics. So it means when all of these subjects are huge areas of research. So people who really want to get involved in that subject can just decide to zone down in that area. And then a further choice would be to take a major minor. It's not something that's terribly popular, but some students do it. And as I said earlier on, every year you take your 60 credits. So a major minor in plain English just means you take 40 credits in one subject and 20 in another. There's no right or wrong in any of this. This is all boiling down to personal choice, really. If anybody attending tonight is thinking long-term of second level education, your optimum combination really is 2 teaching subjects to degree level, and I would encourage a double major. That way you ensure you have your full credits that would be required for the Teaching Council registration. And then you can apply for the Professional Masters in Education, and you can do that actually by December of second year, and they can use your second year results. A lot of students will leave it till their final year perhaps, and maybe take a year out before starting the Masters. Again, that's personal choice. But the qualification for second level education will be a 2-year Professional Masters in Education. Primary school teaching may be of interest to some of our attendees or not, as the case may be. As we know, there's only 4 centres in Ireland offering that qualification, including Maynooth. The places are limited, demand is high, therefore points are high. But as a graduate of any level 8 qualification, including arts, you could apply for the Professional Masters Conversion Programme for primary school teaching. Now, for that one, you are required to meet the H4 grade in Irish, or the equivalent, and they are looking for your O4, H7 in maths and English as well, and there's an interview for it. There's a TEG exam you'll be asked to sit, because as a graduate you won't have been studying Irish unless you've taken it in the degree for 3 years, so they want to test out that you have maintained that standard of oral and written Irish. One tip that students would give us all the time is, if you're doing that pathway to join the Irish Society, pop into Seomra na Gaeilge that meets a couple of times a week on campus, because if you're not speaking Irish fluently on a regular basis in your personal life, life, you can get out, you can get a little bit rusty on the Irish. So it's important to keep it alive if your pathway is for a conversion master's in primary school teaching. These are kind of little tips of the trade, if you like. Sources of information. The prospectus is available on mu.ie prospectus, but if you do put that into a search engine, you'll have a list of publications that are available, and one of them is this arts, MH101 Arts Subject Guide. I had it here at the side of this slide here. And what that is actually a directory of all the subjects that are in arts, all 30 odd of them. And it literally is an A to a Z, starting with AC in accounting and AN for anthropology, and goes right through them all and gives you a detailed description of how the transfers work. So you're not trying to memorize what was said about the transfer to law, what was said about the transfer into the finance and accounting degree. It's all there in black and white. And you can read this as a digital online copy, or you can download it onto your IT facilities yourself as a PDF document. So it's a very useful research resource. I spend my time sending PDFs out to schools that I visit, and they share it around the classrooms for students. So just to let you know that that reference guide is available for you, it cuts down kind of the anxiety around trying to memorize how those transfer pathways work. As part of the offerings within the arts faculty, then we have denominated degrees, which is another way really of saying that there's degrees there that give you a particular focus. The top two there are really taught primarily, and there's other subjects in them as well, but the Department of Applied Social Studies and Sociology. And especially the first one there, you're looking at social policy, you can take it with sociology and other subjects. That's an excellent platform for people who have a real interest in society, individuals, the policies around social welfare, the whole government thinking around that. They're excellent platforms for people who have been interested in structure in society, equality and fairness, how we work and how we view each other. For people who want to do a lot of research and support, or working in so many areas, work across the health services and communications, like its application is a whole broad net of opportunity. For people who particularly want to get into social work, perhaps you could add on a 2 years master's. Now, there's no practical work involved in the social science degree. It's a 3-year academic structure, and then you would add on your 2-year master's program for social work. At that stage, you are in supervised work placement with clients, and you're completing your research for that full qualification. A very similar kind of course would be community and youth work. Now, that is a professional qualification in its own right. It carries with it a little asterisk, as does the music degree down in the middle of the screen there as well. And it's indicating to the applicants that if you're thinking of those courses, you need to make them list them on your course choices on the CAO by February the 1st. Anybody who has done that, the departments then will collect that information and call you for assessments. And that usually happens around March or April of the year, because the CAO will have closed down by February the 1st and will reopen again in May. But the allocation of places will happen prior to that. So if you have an interest in either community and youth work or the pure music degree, then you need to apply by the 1st of February. For the pure music degree itself, there is an audition for that one and an interview. For music and arts, there isn't, but for the pure music one, there is. The middle one there in the yellow background is media studies. That degree attracts students primarily because it's so practical. And in our modern day world of communications, there's a broader net of opportunity than just the media industry for communications, marketing, and anywhere at all where you're involved in a public arena where you're communicating anything of any kind, whether it's for business or otherwise. The reality is it's a very useful skill set to have. The practicality of the course really attracts students because they get a lot of opportunities to work on camera work, film work, sound editing, sound recording, producing documentaries, and looking at the research that goes into that. It's a very dynamic, practical area of work to get into. And really a truer form of a name would be media arts degree, because you take it with arts subjects, so you can combine it with subjects like law or business or languages. Again, you get to decide what the structure looks like. But its hands-on practical application is really invaluable for students who have an interest in working in those areas or related areas of work in the future. The last two areas there would be the BA or the BSc in psychology. These would both carry PSI accreditation. For the BA in psychology, those students would take 2 art subjects in psychology in first year, and in second and third year psychology only. The BSc students, they're coming into the Faculty of Science. They don't require a third language for it because it's in the science faculty. You're taking maths, science subjects in psychology in first year. Both sets of students take the exact same course in second year. In year 3, the BA students complete. In year 3, the BSc students, that last degree there, Maynooth, they're not in Maynooth. Those students are not in Maynooth. They're either on a work placement or a research program, or it could be a travel abroad opportunity, and they're back in year 4 to complete their studies. The accreditation is equal to both. The journey is different, and it's really the world of personal choice, where students want experiential, hands-on experience while they're doing their degree rather than just theory only. What gives this degree its accreditation as opposed to psychological studies is from second year on, it becomes quite scientific in its application. So you do a lot of lab work, research work, and all of that is based on scientific principles that come to have formed the theories around human behavior that we utilize in various ways and have come to understand. They're all based on research principles, and you need to understand the lab work and the research principles behind that. And studying statistics is very much part and parcel of this area of study. That's the piece that's missing from psychological studies that you do on your top-up year. So that 1 year conversion masters is very much looking at the scientific training and principles associated with an accredited qualification in psychology. So that accreditation is built into the psychology programs. But with psychological studies, it's something you do as an add-on. It's an extra year you do as the master's conversion program, and it is available in Maynooth. 30 places are available on it. Last but not least in this kind of related area would be product design and innovation. This will suit you if you're very much somebody who would enjoy working in a collaborative communication space, which is quite creative and very good at problem solving. People who work in design are very much responding to a problem that has been presented and coming up with solutions to something. They spot a gap in the market, or they spot a way of coming up with a solution to something that doesn't work quite well or could be done in a better way. The problem could be identified by yourself, or could be identified as somebody who comes to seek help from you or your company. So it's about collaborative working. It's about sharing of ideas, coming up with new ideas, bringing your ideas from here, from your kind of working as an idea only, onto paper, from there onto design boards, onto a sketch, on into IT systems, portfolio and development. And all of that is about tweaking, going back, revisiting the drawing board literally, and reworking until you get a final product. And there is work placement as part of that as well. So it's very much a journey of experience and exploration. And as our designers would tell you time and again, the only time design doesn't work and when there wasn't a problem there in the first place. That's just an interesting aside. But it's something that's incredibly engaging. And for people who like to work in that industry, the job opportunities are absolutely wonderful because there's so few people doing that area of work. And we're finding something in the region of our graduate profile from the high 80s to the low 90s year on year. We'll have work contracts lined up before they finish their degree. There's work placement in year 3. And then in your final year, it's about showcasing the ideas that you have, and you get to showcasing. The final year showcase is always worth a visit when it's on campus. We're always excited about it. And we have all of our employers in the local areas coming in to view the showcase because they always want to populate their companies with new thinking, new ideas, fresh ideas coming out of the design studios. So you're working in small groups from the start, working with designers who are very well experienced in so many areas of design-led industries of many, many kind. So there's a vast portfolio of experience there that you can avail of during your degree. So it's a whole mix of design, IT, business applications as well. So you do a bit of computer programming in there as well. Anybody who might be interested in following through with this more information, obviously our open days are coming up, but there's an excellent YouTube video guide delivered there by Martin Ryan, one of our designers. So if you even put into YouTube Martin Ryan Design Maynooth, it will pop up for you. Anytime I have time in schools, I often call that video up if I have time on that platform. And he brings you right through the course in a very, very interesting and engaging way about what the course would actually include. But of course, on the open day, you can explore that in more depth as well. We have an open day coming up in April, and you get to meet our design team and get to see the studios as well. So it's a 4-year BSc in design, and the entry requirements apart from points would be that you need an O3 H7 in maths because of the computer systems within it that you study. So where does all this go? And the next question about what kind of a job would I get out of that? And this is a very common question I'll get asked by parents and students alike when you're coming in to do a degree program. And I think for a lot of us, we forget sometimes that every degree is more than the sum of its parts. Explain, Kay. What I mean is everybody focuses in on the content. And you do need to do that. You certainly do need what you're going into. You need to have the appetite. You need to have the interest and engagement in it, because this course of study and these courses of study are certainly very far removed from school. But deal with employers for the moment. When we speak to design employers, which we do on a regular basis, continuously what they talk about is they want people who have experience in time management, problem solving, thinking on their feet, excellent communication skills, can do that orally, in written format. They're also very, very good at leading a team, working within that team, managing that team space, working on their own initiative. And there's no doubt about it in everybody's working day environment. Anytime the phone goes or you're answering an email, you're thinking, problem solving, you're coming up with solutions. You have to understand the world of research. You're able to filter out what you're going to use and what you're not and why, and be able to stay why. Be able to participate in a very meaningful way in team meetings, and you're always planning and evolving and developing and reappraising your work. Now, when you look at second level education, if you're coming out of a leaving certificate, that's not what level 5 training is. Level 5 training is excellent and is giving you an excellent standard of education, but it's a gateway qualification, which gives you a currency to move you on. If you're coming out from school, next stage in your development is professional training. And inherent in our teaching methodology and structure is exactly that professional training. And that is why students really need to know an awful lot about themselves and the degree programme, but themselves very importantly, because you really have to want this. You really have to buy into it and have the energy, drive and ambition to make this work, because this is the world of self-directed learning. Now let's explore that. In the school environment, you're very directed and supported, and it's hard to imagine an educational system other than what you're in. I'm in schools every day of the week, and what I see is roll calls, homework allocation, homework correction. Every second of your day is accounted for. When classes are on, that school is silent. At break time or when the classes are moving, it's incredibly busy, just for a few minutes, and it all settles down again. But you are continuously supported, directed and guided by teaching staff and the management team. 80% of your day is organised for you by somebody else. That's level 5 teaching. But we're bringing you up to level 8, which is professional training. So we cannot continue to teach you in the same way you are. You need a level 8 professional training qualification, so your teaching methodology has to change. So inherent within the discipline, regardless of the title, regardless of the content, regardless of the points of entry, level 8 teaching will always assume a very high level of interest from the student. So it's assuming you want to be there. So roll calls aren't our norm. There's a very low level of monitoring. There's monitoring at labs and practicals and the tutorials, but in the large lectures, they're not monitored. So you attend because it's timetabled and you have the interest to attend. And for every 50 minutes you will attend your lecture, you'll get to know them pretty quickly, who they are, their email address. They'll provide you with extensive reading material and reading lists. They'll refer to material they want you to research and follow through on a continuous basis through the lecture. But the rule of thumb, ladies and gentlemen, is that for every hour you attend a lecture, you follow that up with a minimum of 2.5 to 3 hours study in your own time. This is something you take personal responsibility for. It's not monitored, it's not allocated formally, and it's certainly never corrected. You monitor this yourself. And you're sitting 2 major exams a year. And with us, that'll be in the month of January and the month of May. So you're going in and you're doing a block of study, you're examined, a block of study, you're examined, and if required, there's repeats in August, but we won't discuss that. So every year you're busy. Then during that period of time, you'll have essays and projects to meet. Now they're never handed into a teacher per se. They are submitted online and they're date stamped on receipt. And there's a penalties for late submission. If you have a doctor's note or a very valid reason why you need an extension, that could be put in place, but that discussion happens prior to a deadline. So you very quickly learn to take personal responsibility, follow through with your work, meet your targets, meet your deadlines, attend your lectures. Now there's a footnote to this. When you're doing your research, it's very important to be aware that when the HEA is going to award you with a graduate profile from your degree, as a graduate of that discipline, there'll be knowledge you'll need to be aware of. You don't have to excel in, but you certainly need to have been aware of to receive that full qualification. So if you like 85 to 90% of your degree programme, you're doing exceedingly well. There's no such thing as 100% perfection. So in your research, you'll have to come across and be aware of that there will be material there that you will have to go to lectures, submit work on, sit exams on. You wouldn't necessarily have chosen it as part of the degree, but as part of the qualification. It's about accepting the reality of life, like many job contracts out there. There's very few of them 100% perfect. So you have to bring that kind of practicality with you into your degree programme. and be willing to work at it. You need to have the drive, the energy, and the ambition for it, and the appetite for it. And you only identify that through your research. Excuse me for a moment. In the many years I've been working in third level, when we meet students and things aren't working out, it's never a points issue. When we're chatting to students, they're in a course of study they have little interest in, little appetite for, and they've chosen it for many reasons they're not quite sure of. Perhaps the title, perhaps they thought there was great job opportunities on it, because in school everything kind of works out. But in the third level system, you really got to want this. So the content is important to see if that suits who you are, because for me, it always begins in one place, and that's the student. Who you are as that individual you are, how you like to work and study, what are your interests, and it's about understanding that and then looking at the content of the degree, because you are going from level 5 to level 8. There is no problem at all reaching up to that standard, but you do need to want it, and it does need to suit the person you are. So when you're walking away with a level 8 qualification under your belt, be it 3 or 4 years in duration, you'll have learned so many skill set, not just the content where everybody focuses on, but as a graduate, you now have a graduate profile on which you can diversify or use for many job opportunities out there. You have learned how to research, take personal responsibility, meet targets, meet deadlines, communicate effectively and efficiently. You've become excellent at presentation skills. You're able to think on your feet. And then you have the whole social and personal development within the university itself. Every college you go to is a microcosm of the real world, through the clubs, through the societies, work experience on campus as a student ambassador. All of these are opportunities to write up your CV. Use the international office to use a study abroad option, or your degree program might have an internship program where you can go and work experience on. Some don't, but you can overcome that by being very active in the clubs and societies. It's a great way of making friends, but it's also a great way of broadening your horizons and your experiences and making contacts you don't and can't make in your local area. And there is many's a career that has actually started through a club or a society in the university itself. So university works on 2 pillars. You've got the academic qualification and experience, but you also have the whole pillar of broader experience, broader connections and broader horizons, not only through your learning, but through the campus experience itself. And this is what you've got to be ready to embrace. And that's why it's so important to visit and to talk to our students. Lecturers are fantastic, and they have a fulsome amount of information to share with you, and they're very knowledgeable, obviously, in their course area. But you also then have the student perspective and how they have found it. Students who are only a year or 2 ahead of you know exactly what it was like to be daunted by all of this and what that experience feels like and where they are now. And they're fulsome in their experience and how they can share with you what is good about their course, what's bad about it, how they overcome difficulties. Because of course they're facing difficulties every day, but that's how you grow. That's how you grow and evolve and develop. When you're meeting challenges, you overcome the challenge and you've grown into that area of expertise, because that's how we learn, that's how we evolve, and that's how we develop. So that's why research is so important. And of course, I'm talking to the converted because you're here tonight. To follow through, you can, of course, avail of campus tours, which you can sign up for on the website if you want to meet a student and come along for a campus tour. But I would highly recommend the open days in April, and we have open days again coming up in June, just before the change of mind facility for the CAO. It's always a very, very busy day where students are coming in, especially after the Leaving Cert, and they're finalising their choices and they're tweaking what they're chosen. And also during the spring open day, you have done your mocks. There's a clear idea of how the year is falling from you, and you might, the dust is beginning to settle, and things that might have been a little less clear before Christmas may become a lot more clear now. So you have those 2 major events that can keep you busy between here and then. If you wish to come back and visit us at any stage in the future, please do so. Now I'm going to call back in my lovely colleague Emma, and I'm going to check to see if there's anything there that needs addressing or chatting about. I see there's a question there. If someone starts an LLB in law and doesn't like it, can they transfer to MH101? What you do in the first couple of weeks is you come along to the admissions office and chat to us, and there's a link on the website where you can make contact with us and you can put your name down for consideration. So what happens is, if you don't like the LLB and you're kind of a little bit sorry you've made that choice, if you have met the entry requirements for arts, You probably will have the points requirements if you have the LLB requirements for points, but you also have to meet the third language requirement for the arts. And if you have that, if a place becomes available on the arts degree, you can certainly consider that for you. As the weeks go on, we can put your name down and we can do an internal transfer. So the word of advice for everybody starting off college is always keep in touch with the admissions office. Always keep the lines of dialogue open and keep in touch with us about your feelings and all the rest of it. Just don't leave. Always make sure you chat to somebody. Don't ever take the first bus home. That's not something we ever advise. Always connect in with us. And if we can at all help you and assist you, we certainly will. Is this lecture available in recording? Yes, all of these are going to be available in recording. They're all being recorded as we speak.
Thanks, Kay. That was wonderful.
Not at all. You're very, very welcome. And I think we have everything answered there, have we? Thank you very much.
Everything caught up now. Yeah, everyone's caught up. Recording will be up on YouTube.
Heavens
as well
above, you were very, very busy, Emma.
We've had quite a few questions. Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Excellent. Thank you. So we've kept you busy there, motoring away. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the presentation. You're very, very welcome, everybody. Thank you very much indeed. I do apologise for the quality of the voice, but at least today I have a voice. Yesterday it did disappear a few times, so thankfully it didn't disappear tonight. Thank you very much for being in attendance. I'll just stay for a moment or two longer, just in case something strikes somebody that you want to ask me. But you can always email in or use the web facility of the web chat function anyway. Thanks very much, everybody who's coming in and saying thank you. I do appreciate that. I'm glad it's been of value and assistance to you all. Be excited about third level. It's an exciting time, isn't it, Emma?
Oh, yeah, wonderful time.
We'd all love to be going back and starting again.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I know you enjoyed it very much. You did your social science degree with us.
I did, yeah. Maynooth is wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Somebody asking there about EU students need third language.
Yes, that third language can be, yes, you do need a third language. So you'll find all the entry requirements as the EU students. There's an EU guide on the website. So if you go on under EU applicants, you'll find the whole remit there of the requirements in English and the third language or anything else that's required for entry. You'll find it all listed there. Usually EU students have the language requirement.
Yeah.
It's kind of parcel of what you do.
Someone asking about exemptions from Irish.
Yes, absolutely. So our governing body is the NUI, so NUI.ie, and it covers all of the NUI colleges, including Maynooth. And if you go onto their website, www.nui.ie, if you click on that, there's this little section there called entry requirements. Click on that, and there's documentation there referring to exemption in Irish. So read through the requirements and download the documents you need to fill out. And what you do then is you scan those documents once you fill them out and they're ready, and whatever other documents you need, you either scan them or take photographs of them, and then you can do an online application. You literally apply online, you upload your relevant documents, and they process that exemption very quickly. And as soon as you get your exemption approved, you take a copy of it and you put your CAO number on it and get it down to the CAO. They upload it into your system so the computer can see that you're exempt. And you still will have to present your 6 subjects, but they won't be looking for Irish as a requirement, and that will suffice for all the NUI colleges. No, as an EU applicant, you're not required to present Irish. And the Irish requirement is only applicable and required from the Irish Leaving Cert. If anybody's applying with A levels or other EU qualifications, Irish is not required. So that is good news. You don't have to.
That's us. I think we're caught up.
Yes, you definitely have caught up, Emma. You're one of the few people that don't have to worry about Irish. Do you need to contact the Department of Education to get an exemption in a language? No, you don't contact the Department of Education. You contact the NUI to get your exemption. It's an NUI exemption you need for the NUI colleges, and that's done by the NUI itself. Thank you, Emma. I can see you're on that already. Thank you. So it's never the Department of Education. It's always the NUI for the NUI colleges. You're very welcome, Tracy. Thank you very much for your comments. We do appreciate it. Perfect. That's wonderful. Good night. Thank you very much for coming along. Okay, well, we'll leave it for there. I think everybody seems to be happy enough. I'm gonna let you all go back to your lives. It's coming up to 10 to 9 now. I'm sure people are. I think we've answered all of that, haven't we? Yeah, we've answered all of that. Okay, any more questions that might occur to you, use the web chat facility and feel free to email me or email the admissions office. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. So thank you for coming along tonight. It was lovely that myself and Emma didn't have to spend the night chatting to each other. We wouldn't have minded, but it was so much nicer when you came along to join us. So thank you for making the evening wonderful and engaging. And every good wish with your studies, and whoever you are, whatever studies you're doing at the moment, every success with those in the year ahead. And hopefully we'll see some of you at the open days in the months to come. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you, Emma, for all your wonderful help.
Thanks, Kate. Wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.